Welcome to Lead Today with me, Kalyna. Let's talk leadership. Hello and welcome to today's episode all about Ash Wednesday and Lent. I thought it was a good time to do this as we're heading into Lent, and I think a lot of people that are in the Christian space think about it often as, okay, give up chocolate, and there's something to that. Chocolate is heavenly, so it's hard to give up, but I think there's a lot more that we can be doing and thinking about. I've sort of I've really dove into this year. Last year, I would say my theme was looking at, okay, rather than giving something up, what are you actually taking on? And so that was a really cool flip for me right off the bat for Lent, because it's often, okay, give something up. And that makes sense because it is a time to really strip down to the bare minimum and then rebuild as a theme or thought. But there's something interesting about, okay, but what are you building back up, right? Or if you do give something up, then what are you putting in its place? And so if you give up chocolate, but you take up, drinking beer, then are you better off? And so there is something to stripping down to the bare bones of something, but what you put in its place is just as significant. So, and I do feel personally that I've been in that space for a while. I think my life has been stripped down to the bare bones in a variety of ways. There are a couple of things I can't discuss at this time, unfortunately. Maybe they will come to light as they're resolved, but what I can say is on a very foundational level, my life has been just tested to the core. And of course, I'm sure there's good reason for that, and I will look back on it and see that reason. But for right now, it's difficult. It's been difficult. It's been years of difficult, and that's, I'd say, it's all in how you look at it. And so, is it learning? Is it growth? Yes, but in those moments when, let's say from the Bible, when they're the locusts and you feel like there's just a plague and it's total crop devastation and there's this divine wake up sort of thing, we realize our fragility. It's really easy to set up your life in a comfortable way and then coast, and that can be great for the nervous system. I'm not knocking it. It's really nice to have a sense of stability and comfort. I think humans crave that. That's why we have routines, rituals. It's good. Sometimes when things all come crashing down, well, you realize how fragile all of these structures and scaffolds that we put into our lives, even, home, like you feel like you're safe in your home, but anyway, not trying to get into a very dark place here, but it is to say things can change in a moment. And so having gratitude when things are going well in your life, it's a good reminder to just count your blessings, as they say. And I aim to do that. And I hope you are doing that. It's kind of this, it feels cheesy sometimes, like be grateful. And I wrote about it in my book a little bit, and I've always struggled with that. The word gratitude sort of rubs me the wrong way. Not because I mean I get the concept, but I just don't like putting on airs. I don't want it to be, I just can't do the performative, like, oh, thank you so much. Like if I don't mean it, and you have to mean it. That intention, that meaning, that genuine, authentic, I'm grateful for this. And if you don't like the word grateful like me, I don't know. It's just an aversion to that. I don't know if it's fake positivity. I'm not sure what to call it, but it's not I cannot do that. So, but finding a way that you can appreciate, you can take stock of your situation and find the appreciation for what's going well. I think that can land for me. The counting your blessings sort of thought lands for me. And truly, I mean, this is not a Lent concept. This is an everyday concept. But Lent really brings us back, and Ash Wednesday in particular, that's coming up, really brings us back to remembering our mortality, confronting that fragility, realizing that, from dust to dust, from dust to dust is just this. I mean, so when you go up and the priest puts ashes on your forehead, the thought is to remember you are dust, and to dust you shall return. You came from dust, you are. What's this dust? Like, what's going on? Well, apparently, first of all, interesting from a neuroscience perspective, which I love. So ashes on the forehead. Why the forehead? Well, touching the forehead actually activates the prefrontal cortex, priming focus and humility. There have been studies done on somatic rituals showing 20 to 30% mood regulation boosts just from that touching of the forehead. And so there is something there from the ritual standpoint. Do you need the science to prove or back this up? Probably not. Um, but it's an interesting thought that, hey, these rituals actually do something for us. These somatic, even bowing, all the genuflecting in mass, all of these rituals, they seem to just be, I think with ritual, when we don't know, if there's not research and you're a very science-minded person, or if we don't know the reasoning, the rationale, it's really easy to just say, well, why do we need that? Let's throw it away, right? Like, what? Let's just go to mass. Why do we need ashes on the forehead? Like, this is just messy. What are we doing? Um, but there's so much deeper meaning in these little rituals that I think it's critical to preserve. And I did go down the rabbit hole of Latin Mass. I would love to do an episode on that. It would be an episode from a pure novice, beginner's standpoint, but I do like doing those episodes, so maybe we can get one of those episodes in here sometime soon, because the Latin Mass was just stunning. It was awe-inspiring. It captured my attention. There's something very special about the Latin Mass. And similarly, these rituals of Ash Wednesday and Lent, it almost feels like you're transported to a different time, or that you can, for me, I imagine, all the people walking around with these ashes on their foreheads, and it just feels like it connects you to something just not even bigger than the world, right? It's of the world. It's just people. It's people. And I feel like connecting on that same topic on the same day at the same time, across the world. But it's just a beautiful feeling to feel connected to others. And we have that capability all the time. And if you have community connections, I mean, there are ways outside of the church, right? And what I think the church brings that's special is tried and true, tested, perfected over many, 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 many years. That's what you're getting with the church, depending on, of course, what church and what religious, it depends. For me, that's the Catholic Church. For you, it could be something else. But for me, what's really special about the Catholic Church is the enduring nature of these traditions. So the ashes bring something to me, because it feels like I'm connected to past, present, and future, something that will endure, and that's really, to me, very special and important in a time when things feel like they're changing. What can you moor yourself to? What can you hold on to when everything is changing? And from a technological standpoint, as we all know, changing very rapidly, what are the things that endure? And that's an important question for me, again, if you're stripped down to bare bones in your life, you start to look at what does endure. And frankly, a lot of the things that we think will don't, and material possessions certainly don't. And when you start thinking about your life and thinking about death, and it's all sort of full circle, right? Like from your birth to old age, what is going to stick with you, really? Some relationships, your body will stick with you, and that's about it, isn't it? I mean, most things don't stand the test of time. It's really, well, and of course, God will be with you. And that's this thought of remember you are dust. I think it's, and I did an episode actually. I spoke with Robert Greene and had a wonderful discussion there. And if you haven't heard it, I really recommend you have a listen because he's writing a book about mortality. I'd have to have a look if it's out yet. I imagine it would be. I'm also, I'd like to chat with him again. That was a really good conversation. And we spoke about mortality, and he's got some interesting views, and that's what his book's about. So I would highly recommend checking out his book if that's out yet. Um, I should check it out if it's out, because I think he's a phenomenal thinker, and not only thinker, but the way that he puts those thoughts into words for others. I just loved his writing from 16. He's just one of those foundational writers for me. So he's a brilliant man, and if you'd like to explore the topic further, not that he pays me to say that, I just think he's wonderful. So, but yes, considering your mortality is something to do during Lent, and I would say, yes, you are in the wilderness for Lent. There's the thought of desert fasting. Now people do digital detoxes, but there is something to fasting that if you can, I mean, if you're pregnant, breastfeeding, have certain health conditions, of course, use your own judgment. I'm not here to tell you what to do, but if you are up for it, fasting actually has great benefits. Of course, I'm not the first one to say that. We know about autophagy increases. There are different lengths of time you can fast. Some people go all out. Other people, they'll just have one meal a day. Totally up to you. But the thought is, again, bringing yourself back to bare bones when you fast. And if you're just drinking water, there's this mental clarity that comes up. I did a 3-day water fast, and I just found you get this clarity. It's like your body's back to those bare bones. It's back to, there's a simplicity. Your digestion isn't bogged down. And when you're eating a lot and you're having to digest, it really does divert from your mental resources and faculties, I think. So there's something to be said for fasting, and why not do that in a communal way with the rest of the community if you are a part of it. And of course, this is mimicked with Ramadan, so it's not just Catholics, Christians, and I think there's an interesting theme there in terms of it being a similar time of year. It's really, there's something to that kind of end of winter coming into spring. It's almost like the ice is thawing, and we're all just getting ready for that new day, quote unquote, the awakening of nature and of our souls or spirits. Of course, there's temptation involved with Lent, or any time you are fasting those bad habits, fasting food. And that's where, you hear a lot about the devil, and I really do think the temptations of the mind are what the devil is, and maybe that's common sense, but I didn't get that for a long time. It felt like the devil was this entity that was kind of outside of me, or oh, the devil tempts you. But really, to me, at least my understanding right now, yeah, maybe there are, of course, external temptations, but I think ultimately, no matter what's outside of you, that devil is really, it's those kind of angel devil on your shoulder. That I like that visual, because really it's in between your two ears, right? It's your head tempting you. Because if you have the resolve, if you're very clear on what it is that you want, if you're clear on what you are doing and what you're not doing, and again, this goes outside of Lent, then no external devil will tempt you. And I think that's why really getting in touch with yourself is critical, because there are temptations externally, and if you're driven by those, then well, you're at the beck and call of those devilish offers. Um, so not that I'm perfect at that, absolutely not. But I think we should not just wear our ashes, but live them. And it's just a reminder, and that symbolism is potent and powerful. But let's bring it forward, right? It's not like, okay, Ash Wednesday and now see you later and see you at Easter sort of thing. I mean, you have this huge carnival and excess, and then we go into the wilderness, the desert, and we fast. How do we bring Lent forward? And I mean, okay, we're heading into Lent right now, so maybe we don't want to spring ahead, but I think that's why it's important to, yes, okay, we have this Lent challenge, and you pick this one locust in your life to fast for 40 days, and okay, whether it's scrolling or whatever that thing is that kind of really is the devil on your shoulder, the devil in your head really tempting you, if you cut it out, um again, I would replace it with something, because you can will anything for 40 days, but isn't the thought to have true measurable change? Isn't the hope that you come out anew and you don't want to go back to the scrolling or the chocolate or the so like when you pick something that is just this sheer willpower thing, it's good, but I think the intent is a little bit flawed, right? Or if it's like, I'll be more grateful, or I'll be like, I think that's where I get frustrated, even with myself. Like, we have these, you do things with the best of intent. I'm not saying that you're doing it in a negative or like in a contrived way. It comes out that way because if we just have that 40-day horizon on our minds, then it's not really, to me, that true bare bones humbling that's required. And maybe, most people, like, if I wasn't, if external circumstances did not literally bring me to my knees, you know, in terms of that, to your bare bones, really mm, pulling the rug out from under me, so to speak. Like, if that didn't happen externally, would I have felt this humbled? Would I have felt, I mean, sometimes it takes external circumstances. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And so you can't always, just from your own personal decision, it's kind of like when you have a personal trainer, right? And it's like if you go to work out on your own, then you do a good job, but maybe you push yourself to like 80% or 90%. But you have a personal trainer when there's somebody outside of yourself that's like, okay, one more rep, right? They're encouraging you. You get this burst of strength. You do more than you think you would normally. And I guess that's why these trials and tribulations come into our lives. Something like Lent is brought up, because would you do this on your own? you know, like, would you sit there and, okay, it's Ash Wednesday, so let me, like, I think the rituals of it, the structure of it, having the guidance there, that's what takes us to the next level, spiritually, emotionally, physically. It's kind of like that personal trainer for your spirit, is how I see it. Because you'll push yourself a little bit more, and that's the reason why I go to mass as regularly as possible. um I feel the difference from having that external input. Hearing a homily that really hits home changes my entire worldview, if it's a really interesting perspective. So I would say, even if it feels like bare minimum, it's still more than you'd be doing without Lent, without that fast. Whether you do actual fasting or you're doing some kind of emotional fasting or habit that you're trying to fast, no matter what you choose and how you interact with Lent, I just think it's a great opportunity to go beyond what you would normally do for yourself. And as we did say, the autophagy from Well, so with prayer, so this is 2025 research. It links Lenten style intermittent fasting to autophagy, mirroring this remember you are dust, right? Because autophagy is literally cells eating junk for renewal, so from dust to dust. But if you pair it with prayer, so the Oxford trials showed meditation plus fasting cuts anxiety 40% more than either one alone. So interesting, right? These traditions have fasting paired with a time of reverence, going inward, prayer. So maybe you pray a novena. Maybe you take up the rosary every day. Fascinating, hey? Cutting anxiety by 40% more when you do both. And I don't know the particulars in terms of how much fasting, what's that threshold, like how was the study conducted? I don't know the details. So, but even if you get 10%, 20% more, hey, it's something. And like I said, it makes sense, right? Because you have the mental clarity from the fasting, and then the prayer is meditative and has you in that focused place. So it makes sense to me. So, hey, this wasn't maybe as educational as it could have been, but it's certainly interesting to confront our mortality, to unpack what Lent can do for us beyond the giving up chocolate phenomenon, you know. And if you do choose chocolate, great, but why? You know? So whatever your intent around gratitude or chocolate or whatever these things are, I think at the end of the day, why? Why are you doing it? What is your intention beyond the 40 days? You know, if you're just willing yourself for 40 days, again, you're going beyond what you normally would do. It's that personal trainer idea. You've pushed yourself beyond what you would do on your own, and that's fantastic. But how are you going to bring it forward? What's the point of this year's Lent for you? And when I stopped drinking alcohol, I think it was interesting because a lot of people with I'm saying it because a lot of people with alcohol, right? They'll kind of like, oh, um, I'm not having a dry November, or I'm not drinking this month or whatever. And again, I would ask, like, why? And it's great, these resets, these detoxes, there's of course value to them. But as with any diet or any change, of course, the idea would be to integrate it into your life in a more permanent fashion, or to make at least sustainable changes. So it's not saying, oh, everybody just has to, if you, let's say social media, okay, cut it out completely for 40 days and then just never look at it again. No, maybe you want more healthy social media consumption or time spent on it. And so maybe for those 40 days, you do cut it cold turkey, but then you have this plan of, okay, well, I'm going to, go back to it and then just do it once a week, or only on weekdays, or whatever kind of feels good for you, right? But this thought that if you cut something cold turkey and then you just go right back to being the person you were before, what did you really learn while you were in the desert, while you were in the wilderness, while you were fasting? The whole thought is that in that fasted place, you have new wisdom and new insights. And from that fasting, you come up with something different for your life, for yourself, for your community, for your family. So just a thought, right? To kind of take this a step further in your spiritual detox and your spiritual growth, so that Lent and whatever it is you choose to give up and take on can bring you even more meaning in this year and hopefully beyond. So I wish you a peaceful Ash Wednesday and start to Lent, and stay tuned for that Latin Mass episode. I'm really excited. I'm going to get to work on that. Take good care until I see you next.